Hi everyone, I'm Helena B. Scott. Those of you who follow my Facebook page will know who I am, but for newcomers, I'd like to share that I'm a writer, researcher, and historian specializing in secret history, the paranormal, and the occult, but also the Gothic. I'm also a sensitive or mental and light trance medium. I am a creative soul that likes to uncover mysteries and wrongdoings, buried by the veil of history and time, giving a voice to the voiceless, those who are no longer living, but nevertheless have a story to tell. I strive to make things right, to bring justice, often rewriting history, correcting or adding what was purposely omitted. My journey has taken me across countries and continents to abandoned stately homes, like Ireland's most haunted house, Loftus Hall in County Wexford, medieval castles, historic transatlantic ocean liners like the Queen Mary, and archaeological sites, and even to assisting in finding missing children or helping loved ones left behind by the departed. I'd like to welcome you all to the first podcast of 2022 on energy. This will be the first of a series of short podcasts on hauntings and the spirit world. Whether you're hoping to just experience a glimpse of the paranormal or even consider mediumship, there are some key concepts that must be understood when interacting with the spirit world. While many of you may want to jump in straight into talking about ghosts, spirits, and all things haunted, the idea behind these free podcasts is to provide basic but essential information and training to do things the right way, ethically, respectfully, and safely. The first stepping stone in our journey into the other world is to have a basic understanding of energy, outside our bodies in the universe, but also within, as we are essentially energy. Everything is energy, and energy can neither be created nor destroyed. The ancient Greeks conceived of 5 building blocks of matter, from bottom to top: earth, water, air, fire, and ether. Ether was the matter that filled the heavens and explained the rotation of the stars as observed from the Earth vantage point. These 5 building blocks were the first, most basic elements needed to create the world. This line of thought would remain unchanged for almost 2,000 years, until about 300 years ago. Sir Isaac Newton then introduced the idea that all matter exists at points called particles. 150 years after that, James Clerk Maxwell introduced the electromagnetic wave, the underlying and often invisible form of magnetism, electricity, and light. The particle served as the building block for mechanics and the wave for electromagnetism, and that's how particles and waves together came to be generally accepted as the 2 building blocks of all matter. However, recent trends in physics show that scientists have changed the way they think about matter. Until recently, the general belief was, as I mentioned before, that matter was made of particles or waves. But science has now shown that matter is actually made of fragments of energy. It's the building block of all matter. So everything we see is made up of energy. From our human bodies to plants, trees, animals, to even the gadget you're using to listen to this podcast. In addition, Einstein's theories also influenced these beliefs further and contributed to these views. Einstein proved that all the energy of the universe is constant and that it can neither be created nor destroyed. So, what happens to that energy when we die? If it cannot be destroyed based on Einstein's theories, it must be transformed, or rather transmuted, into another form of energy. If we leave our religious ideas to one side for a moment, the generally accepted belief is that when we die, our energy goes back into the universe. It can then be transformed or used as needed, as while our physical bodies die, energy continues to exist in another form. But how is this relevant to ghosts and spirits, you ask? Well, ghosts and spirits, like all things, are also made up of energy and affected by it, regardless of whether they are alive. In fact, they can be seen as different types of energy. We are, in fact, vessels, and when we die, our energy should go back into the universe and be transformed, and then used for whatever the universe deems fit. However, this does not always happen. When our energy remains long after our physical body is gone and no longer living, we can speak of spirits and ghosts. But first, let me talk about entities. What are entities? We can use the word entity, which according to the Oxford Dictionary is defined as a thing with distinct existence, and can be used to refer to incarnate, living people, as well as discarnate, diseased people, spirits, ghosts, demons, thought forms, extraterrestrials, if you believe in them, animals, elementals, guides, and angels, including light and dark angels. So all of these are entities, but we then need to make a distinction between beings of the light and dark force entities, DFEs, or demonics. Beings of the light, earthbound and non-earthbound, would include lost souls, spirits, who are confused, who were once human, and for whatever reason are not where they should be. Non-earthbound are visiting spirits, guides, angels, who may visit us shortly from the spirit world. But what is a ghost? Ghosts are actually imprints of energy left in places when a person has experienced intense emotions like pain, suffering, or fear, but also joy and love. A fragment of that energy can remain there. This fragment of energy is imprinted into the bricks, stones, or material of a building or place. It has no consciousness and cannot interact with the living. It is like a moment in time that is replayed over and over. The person's spirit has passed on, and the fragment left behind is what we know as a ghost. It will grow fainter over time as the energy fades. Some will be recurring apparitions or appear at certain times of the year associated with the event that caused the imprint of energy. A note here though, when we talk about imprints of energy, imprints can also be left by the living. They're fragments of energy, remember. So they can be left by both the living and deceased. This is why it's important when, for example, we move into a new house to cleanse the space, to clear away any negative energies that may linger, because they can affect us, and they can indeed linger. So what is a spirit? Spirit, whether earthbound or not, are also made up of energy, but can interact with us as they are the souls of the once living. It is possible, though, for both spirits and ghosts to be present in a given location. Next are dark force entities, DFEs or demonics, which include dark angels, demons, alone or in groups, elementals, and other entities, which I will cover on a separate podcast. All of these beings need energy to manifest, and thus they tend to draw it from various sources, including us. Also through recognition. When we acknowledge their existence, this gives them energy, as well as through our fear, especially the demonics. This means they can take our energy and affect or disrupt our energy system or use any available energy sources. Our chakras, which need to be balanced for us to function properly, but also to prevent illness, and most importantly, any attachments or possession. This is why it's really, really important to know about energy in order to interact safely with spirits, but also understand the process. Likewise, our energy system depends on a healthy mind and physical body, which is why positive thoughts and a healthy diet are essential. Abstaining from the use of drugs or alcohol, which can weaken the chakras and allow for attachments. I will be talking about negative energies in future podcasts, but for now, I'd like to start with the basics and follow this podcast with the Grounding and Protection podcast. I'll also be doing a podcast on how to keep your chakras in check and restore your energy. Chakras are our unique energy system within. But what is a chakra, you ask? Well, the word chakra is derived from the Sanskrit word meaning wheel, as well as lotus or lotus flower, and we can think of them as spinning energy points or centers. It is believed that the concept of chakras originated in medieval India in ancient esoteric texts known as the Tantras. These were secret texts written in the sacred language of Sanskrit, mainly used for prayer, and concerned subjects such as magic, ritual, alchemy, mantra, the subtle body, and yogic practices, in addition to teachings on the chakras. So, how many chakras are there then? This is an interesting question, and we actually had a debate on this the other day. This really depends on the school of thought followed, as the vast number of esoteric tantric schools that emerged in 13th century India interpreted the chakras in their own way. Some systems, like the Tibetan Tantric Buddhist school, established that there were only 5 chakras, while others had 9. Old yogis say that there are 144 chakras, and the number 144 is an amazing ancient symbolic number, referring to the highest cognition of the spiritual principles. Other schools believe that there were 49 chakras, again, the number 49 being highly symbolic. The number 4 has always been a symbol of mastering and orientation in a given environment, whereas the number 9 is a symbol of the spiritual realm and human spiritual cognition. Some other schools also believed in 14, 13, and 12 in some systems of Tantra. In some tantric systems, the chakras were associated with different colors, while in others, they corresponded to various internal organs or nerve plexuses. Chakras are also associated with numbers, mantras, crystals, elements, oils, and affirmations, which I describe in depth in my workshops. However, despite all these different schools, currently we use a 7-chakra system. We can find the roots of this system in a 16th century text on an ancient form of Hatha Yoga, the Sat Chakra Nirupana, description of the 6 wheels, written by a celebrated enlightened sage, Purnananda. This text reveals encoded details of an ancient form of Hatha Yoga. A few centuries later, this text was translated by Sir John Woodroffe, born in 1865, died 1936, and published in his book, The Serpent Power, under the pen name Arthur Avalon. Avalon was a leading jurist, but he was also an authority on Eastern practices and a tantric scholar. He devoted much of his free time to the study of Sanskrit and Hindu religion, especially Tantrism, and was largely responsible for its introduction to the English-speaking West. His book, The Serpent Power, would become one of the most influential books on chakras in the 20th century. This major work, as well as interpretations by members of the Theosophical Society, is a reason why we work with the 7-chakra system today. And 7, of course, for those of you who follow numerology, is a very, very sacred number. So, we know what chakras are now, but where are they? As chakras are spinning energy points or centers and energy is invisible, so are chakras, because they're at an energy level. However, we can use the physical and auric body to describe an approximate location of where they are. But before I go into where they are, I want to talk about colors. While chakras may be invisible to the seeing eye, to better understand them, it helps to imagine them as wheels or circles of energy located along the front of the spine. As I also do significant work with ley lines, I see chakras in a similar way to ley line markers, which are also linked to energy, leys being energy lines, and chakras are indeed connected to each other. Some people prefer to see the chakras as lotus flowers, or simply flowers that open as we heal and align them or rebalance them when checking them. Regardless of how you see chakras, each chakra is associated with a color. The colors are invisible, but when working with the chakras for healing and in the spirit world, it helps to visualize their colors. This is because the vibration of each color resonates with the chakra's subtle qualities. So I'm going to list the chakras now in order from 1st to 7th, and I'm going to talk about the color, where they are, and a little bit what they're about. I'm not going to go into how to balance them and foods and other things because that will be in a separate workshop. The colors and positions in order from 1st to 7th are red, the root chakra. This is commonly known as the grounding chakra. And the location of this chakra is often incorrect in most texts and is described as being as where it's commonly known as the tailbone at the base of the spine as a result of a mistranslation of ancient tantric texts in late Victorian times. This often results in improper grounding and chakra rebalancing because you really need to know and visualize where this chakra is in order to ground properly, but also to allow for the flow of energy. The correct location of this chakra is not within our physical body, but it's actually outside it, within our auric body. The root chakra is just below the genitalia, within our auric body. This chakra is the first of the chakras to develop after our birth. It is formed within the first 6 weeks of our life on this earth. In order to develop a strong and healthy root chakra in these crucial weeks, we need plenty of love, security, and validation from our primary caregivers. This chakra represents our identity, our stability, and our sense of belonging. It also influences our ability to ground ourselves in this 3-dimensional reality, meaning it influences things to do with the home, finances, and identity. It's really important for being grounded, essential in safe spirit communication, but it's also where we can find Kundalini. But I'll be doing another podcast on that. Next, the second chakra is orange, a vibrant orange, and it's known as the sacral chakra. Now, we can find this one on the front of the spine, directly behind the pubic bone. This chakra is associated with creativity, pleasure, joy, sensuality, and sexuality, our emotions and creativity. Next, the third chakra is yellow, and it's the solar plexus, or navel chakra, and it's all about our self-esteem and how we feel. It's our personal powerhouse, the center of our confidence and self-belief. The stronger this chakra is, the more it will drive us to pursue our dreams. Next, we have green for the heart chakra in our heart center, and this is the fourth chakra. This chakra is all about unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness, and connection. When our heart chakra is open, we experience these feelings not only for others, but for ourselves too. This is why it's often said that in mediumship, when working with spirit, we work from love, from the heart chakra. In fact, this can be seen in brainwaves of mediums in altered states, such as theta states, when we're not awake, but we have some consciousness while not being fully asleep, but still in a dreamlike state, an altered state. And theta waves are actually associated with the color green. It's a bright green, the color of the heart chakra in the heart center. Next, we have sky blue, or a light kind of turquoisey but sky blue. This is the throat chakra, and this is the fifth chakra. Where can we find this? We find it at the throat. If we follow with our fingers the collarbones, it's a dimple in between our collarbones at the base of the throat. This chakra is my favorite chakra as a writer and somebody who's all about expressing themselves, and it's all about self-expression, about having a voice, not just verbally, but also with our body language, clothes we wear, how we show up in the world. Next is indigo or inky blue, which is the third eye, also known as the brow chakra, the sixth chakra. We can find this in the center of the forehead, or if we go just between our eyebrows and a little bit up, that's where it would be, the third eye. The third eye is the key to our inner wisdom, our intuition. And last but not least, we have violet, which belongs to the crown chakra, the seventh chakra. Now, again, the position of this chakra is quite funny because I've seen a lot of texts and information describe it incorrectly. Just like the root chakra, it's not really in our physical body. So a lot of texts will say it's at the top of the head or on the head, but it's not in our physical body. It's in our auric body. The spirit world likes symmetry. And therefore, we have 2 chakras in our auric body and 5 within our physical body. This chakra symbolizes our connection to the universe, to all that's past, present, and future. It is the gateway to our higher intelligence, our elevated consciousness. It's our connection with spirit. Thank you for joining me. If you have a basic understanding of how everything is made up of energy and how chakras make up our own energy system, you will then have a solid base for understanding how energy works in the spirit world and for interacting with the other world in a safe, respectful way. I will provide more in-depth information in my workshops, so if you'd like to learn more, please contact me and sign up to one of my workshops where you will have access to a full presentation. Thank you so much all for listening and your support. Stay tuned for more news of my workshops and my next podcast on grounding.